What is good? This video I'm going to review the Remet Camel. This is a newer offering from Remet. Came out a couple weeks ago. I bought it pretty much right after it came out because it reminded me of probably my favorite budget knife to recommend to people if they ask me what knife they should get and don't want to spend a lot of money. And then I saw Remet was putting this out, and this looked like something that I would like even a little bit more. And for the price, I couldn't hold off on it. It was definitely something that was an easy purchase to me. What we got here is a Remet Camel. As I said, this is a D2 blade on G10. Close it for this part. You've got the Remet logo on the pivot. You've got a button to actuate the lock. You've got a reversible pocket clip. You've got a lanyard post back here. Deep carry pocket clip. And then when you open it up, we have got a sheep's foot blade with an opening hole or a rear flicker for opening methods. The flicker, you can flip it or do the push button. The opening hole works very, very well. You got a good amount of contouring on the G10. You got your liners right here, not inset, which for the price point I think is fair enough. So what knife was the previous one that I recommended? Was the Remet Rhino. Also an awesome knife, and I think they just took the Remet Rhino, made a few changes on it, and then put a different blade on it, and I think they did an excellent job. While I love the Rhino, I do think that the Camel is just more to my liking. So let's do some comparisons here before we go into the pros and cons of this knife that I find. And I think comparisons are the best way to judge a knife size. I can give you measurements all day, but seeing it up against something you know and love, I feel like is a little bit of a better way to judge a knife's size. So you got the QSP Penguin right about the same. Camel might be a little bit bigger. You got the Para 3. I would say those are right at the same size. Here's a Vosteed Raccoon, right about the same size. We got a Vision FG sitting here. Vision FG is just a little bit bigger. And then we can do the Pyrite Light since I have it out. And the MIGURON Montreal. Right about the same as the Montreal and the Pyrite Light. We'll do one more set here. This is the Remet Cosmic, which is another new knife from Remet. And then the Remet Rhino. Open them up. So right at the same has the Rhino, just a little bit bigger than the Remet Cosmic. Pyrite Light, right about the same on the Pyrite Light. The MIGURON Montreal. MIGURON just slightly bigger when it is opened. The Civivi Vision FG, definitely a little bit bigger. The Vosteed Raccoon, a little bit bigger on the Raccoon. The Para 3. I'd say the Para 3 is just a little bit smaller than the Camel. And then the QSP Penguin is also just slightly smaller. Measurements, when it is opened, we are looking at right about 7.3, maybe just over that. Blade length, from the tip to the handle, I would say it's coming in right at 3.2. I think they have it listed at 3.1, which is something that I'm going to talk about a little bit here in a minute. And then just over 4 on the closed length. Let's see about the weight. 3.9 ounces. So what do I love about this knife? I do think it is definitely worth the money. These come in at, they have them listed at like $37. Right now there is a coupon code to bring this down to $30. I think some of the versions are sold out. This bronze blade with the G10, I believe, is sold out right now, but I could be wrong. I have not checked it right before recording. I checked it, I think, yesterday, and they were still available. And they even got a little better coupon than when I bought it. I think my coupon was for $30 to make it $33. I think the coating on the blade is done very well. I love me a nice little sheep's foot blade. I think the opening hole was executed pretty much exactly how I like my holes. It's nice, tight. Get your just enough of the meat of the finger in there to where you don't get too much and then fail the opening. And then the flipper tab is done perfectly. The detent is crisp. So I definitely like the action on it. I like that they didn't do too much rounding on the opening hole, so it gives you a good ledge to get a great amount of leverage on the flick. I never think opening holes are great for thumb flicks, but this one works well. And then, like I had said before, the opening hole, it's like on the Para 3, how I can put my whole finger in there. Sometimes when you're in a hurry, you end up getting a little too much of the meat of your finger in there, almost just too much finger, and then it can cause your finger to travel with the hole. So I do prefer a tighter hole when I'm using a thumb hole, reverse Spidey flick hole. Other things that I think are pretty awesome, the fact they inset the pocket clip is pretty good, and it's a nice pocket clip. It comes in and out very easily. And then they even went and put a fuller on the reverse side, which is a very nice touch for a knife that comes in at $30 to $37. We have got T8 screws all the way around. I like that Remet has stopped billboarding literally anything on their blades. They do have D2 right there on the inside, right behind the jimping, which I will say the jimping on this knife is not the most useful, but it does lock you in. And on a sheep's foot blade, I find I don't really need too much jimping. They got a very good choil in here, just enough to put your finger in without riding on the edge of the blade. Your stop pin is coming in right about there, if you can see it on camera. So you got plenty of sharpening if you use it and sharpen it a lot. There is not much that I do not like about this knife. I will say the edges on the steel liners are a little bit rough, but in my hand I don't really Doesn't create too much of a hot spot for me. So there you go. Do I think that this is the best budget blade right now for the money? I do. I think it has surpassed the Remet Rhino. I think it surpasses something like the Penguin. It gives you that sheep's foot blade like you get on the Penguin, which is one of my favorite knives, but then it throws a little bit of a belly for you to be able to cut. Not saying that the Penguin is hard to use in any task, but I do think that this blade shape just gives you more options. The Remet Rhino, love it, but I do prefer the sheep's foot. It doesn't come down quite as aggressively as some other sheep's foots, so it also gives you more puncturing if you need that type of cutting. It's a little bit more stabby. You got that access to the liner, so it makes it a little bit more fidgety than something like the Vosteed Raccoon that has the top liner with just the button to engage the lock. You've got two methods here. I think putting T8 screws mixed with the Fuller tab really sets it apart from what other companies are doing right now. This is probably a bad example, but something like the Vision FG, you have just a giant cutout right here instead of putting something there to just give you that full, complete grip, I guess. They inset the button a little bit, but I don't find that that's necessary. I can't really find a grip where me engaging that button is a problem, but it is nice that they took the time to do that for sure. Other than that, I will say having the consort grip, it fits my hand well, but if you had bigger hands or maybe smaller hands, you might find yourself resting on the points right here, which is not ideal, but I've had knives where that happens and you just kind of deal with it, but I would get that for some people it's not ideal. And then the blade coming in at just over 3, I think that's a little bit silly. You should just bring it under 3 or do well over 3 and go into the 3.3, 3.5 range. Mainly, I feel like companies come in just under 3 to be able to be carried in states and countries and places where they have a 3-inch blade law. But whenever you're toting the line like this one kind of is, I find you don't want to carry it, because what if the measurement that the police do is not correct? I would rather go a good amount under or a good amount over. That way, or just make 2 versions of the knife. But that is kind of my take on, if you make a blade exactly 3 inches, it is kind of putting a lot of people out. If you go just under, you're including everyone. If you go over, you're making people that don't have to worry about that issue happy. I think Remet will release another version of this knife. I definitely think they should, because I think this is a very awesome knife. If you give me something other than G10 on an S35 or M390 or something, or go real crazy and throw some Magna Cut on there with some titanium or something, I think this knife would definitely work well in a premium outfit. Well, there you go. I do think this is the most recommendable budget knife around right now. I tried to give myself a little bit of time with it before I went all fanboy on it. As you can see there, I got a little bit of a scratch, but $30, I could break this knife and then buy another one and I wouldn't have to cry too much. So if you like the knife, comment down below, let me know, like the video. If you don't like the knife or don't like the video, give it a thumbs down, comment, and tell me why. And in both cases, subscribe to either watch my content and enjoy it, or subscribe to hate on it. I am cool either way. Most importantly, love yourself. Do something good for somebody today. Even if it's just to make yourself feel better, it might make them feel better, and that's alright. Thank you guys for watching.